Welcome to KMET 1490 AM ABC News Radio and the Southern California Business Report with Yvette Walker, a show dedicated to highlighting successful Southern California businesses and the people behind them.
Welcome and thank you for joining Southern California Business Report on ABC News and Talks, KMET 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and KMET TV. I'm Yvette Walker, live blasting our signal from the center of Southern California, serving a population of over 25 million. Get us crystal clear and on demand by downloading the free live streaming app on Google Play and the Apple App Store. As always, a huge shout out to the team, Mitch, Bill, and Sean. I love you guys, and to our special advisory committee, which can be found at www.scbrtalk.com/advisory committee. Today, I have the distinct privilege to introduce Dr. Betty Uribe. For nearly 3 decades, Dr. Betty has been transforming business, culture, and people, making her an award-winning business and culture turnaround expert. She blends academic models with her own business and corporate experience, strategic intellect, and humanitarian endeavors to impact positive change. She has owned and operated businesses in real estate investments and renovations, engineering and manufacturing, automotive repair and maintenance, transportation, and transformation. She is often called a trifecta for her blend of entrepreneurial experience, corporate experience, and her academic background in transformational leadership, finance, strategy, business, and psychology. These have given her a unique understanding of various industries and businesses within the U.S. and globally. Dr. Betty has worked with the likes of presidents, prime ministers, heads of state, presidential senior advisors, the World Bank, the UN, and head clergy leaders to empower and educate men, women, and youth, and to tear down walls and build bridges in communities, private and public organizations worldwide. She educates leaders on values-centered leadership and negotiation, owning their value and building a life well lived. Thank you for being with us here today, Dr. Betty.
Thank you so much, Yvette. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Oh my goodness. When I read your bio, I just can't help but you must see my smile from ear to ear. You know, you are an absolute inspiration. You are, a beacon of what it means to be, not only successful, but have that heart to do the heavy lifting, right? In all of those industries, it's very dynamic, very intricate, and just incredibly complex. So for you to have achieved what you have is absolutely inspiring. So as you know, I start off all of my interviews by asking each of my guests to please take us down, the path that led you to being who you are today. What inspired you? What called you to pursue this path in life today?
I feel like all my life has been opportunities to really make an impact and opportunities to realize that to whom much is given, much is expected. When I came to the United States at the age of 12, leaving behind a life of luxury with an alcoholic, abusive father who almost killed my mother. In a 24-hour period, we went from riches to rags, and we became very poor. And that was the first value-centered decision I made, because my mother gave us the choice of staying home with our millionaire father, and we would have turned out completely different. So in life, we have those pathways where we break into, do we go to door number 1 or door number 2? Well, at the age of 12, my mother gave me that choice. So having the choice to make a decision, a value-centered decision, that it wasn't the money, that it wasn't the luxury, that it was peace and the ability to pay forward. So that was a huge point in my life. And I always go back to that because of the strength that it would take for a 45-year-old woman who didn't speak English, who had 4 children in coming to a completely different country. That was the point. The second time in my life, I think, was when I retired my mother. I got my first, so fast forward, I got educated. I started as a banker, and my first big paycheck, was a $10,000 paycheck, which it's a lot today, but it was a lot back then. And I called my mom, and she was in a factory. She was in a sweatshop. And I said, "What are you doing?" She said, I'm on break. And I said, "Today's your last day. Go to your boss's office and tell him that you're never going to work again in your life, and pack your bags, because we're going first class to Mexico." And I took her to Mexico, and I spent my entire bonus on her.
Oh
And
my
it was probably one of the most incredible days of my life. The other inflection point in my life is the birth of my children. And then most recently, baby Luna was born a year ago. And although I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a business doctor, I literally got the opportunity to deliver the baby and to put the baby right on my daughter's chest. And that was absolutely unbelievable. The room was filled with nurses, because they thought that that would never happen. And some of the different times of my life. But when I go back to the very, very beginning, Yvette, I wasn't supposed to live when I was born.
Mm.
And the doctor told my mom, get the funeral arrangements made. And that was because of the blows that that my mom took from my dad while I was in utero. And so the fact that I am here is a miracle. And then during COVID, I had the alveoli in my lungs collapsed, and I had double pneumonia, and it hurt to just breathe very shallow. And I know that if it would not have been for a miracle, I would have died also. So I feel like I'm on overtime, and we can go anytime, but those times, together with the death of my brother, I think those times get you really centered on what's truly most important in life, and what your purpose in life is, and what your mission in life is. Who do you serve? Who are you surrounded with? I mean, all of the most important things in life that don't matter until you're on your deathbed.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, gosh, what an incredible testimony. What an incredible start. And I have to say, Dr. Betty, it's interesting when speaking with people like yourself, and the origins and the heartache that had to have been gone through, right? Those gates that had to be passed through in order to make those decisions and take that next step forward in spite of those challenges and those horrendous circumstances. But the strength and the fortitude that you channeled to take that step and continue to go is what sets you apart. And it's so inspiring. And the fact that you're here today, yes, it's a miracle, but it's another indicator and testament to the fact that you are needed and you are just starting. Because when you look at the world around us, we need people like you. We need you, Dr. Uribe, Dr. Betty, to continue the work, to continue inspiring, to continue elevating and encouraging. So thank you so much for not giving in and not giving up, and to continue to do the work, to take those steps, even on those days when you don't feel like it. And those are the days when you especially have to do it. Am I right?
Actually, it's so funny, because when it's really difficult is when I lean in and I do it anyway. And I talk to women and to men and to leaders and to the youth about this a lot, because sometimes we go through difficult situations and we say, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore." I go through difficult situations, and I've learned to say, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be great on the other side of this. What do I get to learn? This is going to be magic." And the word magic just always comes, and it's not magic. I feel so blessed, but it feels like it's magic, because all of a sudden things begin to pop, or things begin to show up, or the right person comes in, or the right situation comes in. And so, yes, when it's difficult, it's the easy thing to do is to crumble. The easy thing to do is to go into victimhood, and to make it about somebody else and not take ownership of our own actions. And the easy thing to do is just to climb in bed and watch television or let the time pass and maybe sleep because tomorrow is going to be another day. I think the toughest thing to do is to lean into it and to say, okay, God, what is it that I'm supposed to be learning right now? And I'm so excited for what's going to be on the other side. And so when you change your mind like that, then all of a sudden you're looking for magic. You're looking for what's on the other side and you get excited. It's like a kid, like my daughters, when I was a single mother, Saturdays was a moment, what was the time that I just created for them. And it was Saturdays, girls' day out. And they were looking for something. It's like that. So I created magic for them when I was a single mom, and they never felt that they only had one parent. Today, I get Father's Day cards on Father's Day.
I love it.
Mother's Day cards, yes.
Oh my goodness. And so let me just ask you, what was your mother's response after that phone call where you say, Mom? And I think that's most of a child's dream come true when they see their parents struggling, to be able to afford them that, that relief, that refuge, that comfort again. What was your mother's response?
That was a total surprise for her. And she started crying. She started screaming and she couldn't believe it. And you're taking me back to that moment. And man, when you see your parents struggle, seeing my mother struggle so much when she came here, not understanding the language and working so hard. She started working at 3 a.m. Today I wake up at 3 and I remember her every day when I wake up. That's a whole another conversation, my morning routine. Everybody wants to know. But really, when you think about the opportunity to take someone from this life and to say your life is never going to be the same, you get to enjoy, you get to retire, and then you get to travel and you get to spend quality time with the children and all of that. So her reaction was like disbelief at first, like there was dead silence, and then she was like, really? Really? Oh my gosh. And then she was so excitable. It was just an amazing experience to have that. I recently spoke in Kosovo. Actually, in Albania, there were a lot of people from the community, and I told that story to let them know that we're all the same. And when I told that story, there was not a dry eye in the room.
Right, I know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly, like everywhere, right? So you go, it doesn't matter. We always find, no matter where we go in the world, we always find that we're all human. My friend Claudia Edelman, Romo Edelman, she says that we're all human, and we are at the end of the day. So it was wonderful, just a dream come true, because the day we came from the United States, when I was 12, that's when I promised myself, someday I'm going to retire.
Oh, I love it. Dr. Betty, please talk about the role that education had in your life to be able to pursue this.
Education has been the conduit, the magic key, the magical key in the door, the magic door that I've entered through. The higher the education, the bigger the doors. The higher the education, the bigger my mindset, the bigger my paradigm, because the more I studied and read and went and interviewed companies and analyzed cultures, the bigger my mind got. At first, I remember a really meaningful mentor I had at the time. He was the CEO of the Los Angeles Business Journal. And when I went to ask him to be my mentor, and I was writing my book at the time. No, I was doing my dissertation at the time. And he said, you have to go bigger than just Los Angeles. I said, oh, okay, Southern California. He said, no, bigger. Then California? He says, no, bigger. I'm like, oh, no. United States? He says, no, bigger, global. You have to go global. You get to do this because you got to give to the world. And I remember getting out of his office in the car, clearly remember holding the wheel and saying, Lord, it's too big. I can't fit it in my head. And I remember thinking, you're going to have to help me with this one, because if that's where you want me, I'm there. I will go. Wherever you want me, that's where I'll go. But you're going to have to help me. And here I am, global. And I've been global for the last, 8 years or so. So it's been a while. Education has played a huge part in my life, because the higher the education, I have a bachelor's, 2 masters, and 2 advanced degrees, actually 3 advanced degrees in my doctorate. And then I've done some work under Dr. Mary Helen Mordino Young around the neuroscience, in addition to that. So it's been in education. Now, there's 2 types of education, right? There's the formal education, and then there is the experience. And when you have the experience, it's very difficult for anyone to take that away from you. I know a billionaire, a dear friend of mine, who sold his company for $4.3 billion, and he has a bachelor's, and but he used his experience at 70 years old to start over when he sold the company.
Oh my goodness.
And, a couple of years later, he had 300 employees, so it's never too late. I'll tell you one more thing about education for your audience who is thinking about maybe going for a doctorate. The moment I received the title doctoral candidate, which is after you take all the classes and then you pass your test and you present and defend your dissertation topic and all of the studies, you become a doctoral candidate. The moment I became a doctoral candidate, somebody gave me a golden key that opens any door anywhere around the world. All of a sudden, and people don't talk about this, it's almost like the secret, what do you call it? The secret society of doctors. Once you're a doctor and you pick up the phone and you call any other doctor of any kind, it's like, hey, I'm doing some research on this. Can you introduce me to the President of the United States? Absolutely, come on in. I'm doing some research. Can you introduce me to the Queen? Absolutely, come on in. Can you introduce me to the highest government official in China, in communist China? Absolutely, come on in. Anywhere. I always say, give me 6 months, and I will introduce you to whoever you want to around the world. We get access. Now, we also step into that, right? We have to have that paradigm. We have to be able to allow ourselves the opportunity to say, you know what? I can do this. If that person can do it, I can do it too. And lose that fear and utilize that fear to propel us forward.
Absolutely. And so talk about how you were able to shed that fear, because I can only imagine those fears and the pressure that can come from such an overwhelming thought of, that access. And like you said, with great opportunities come great responsibilities, right? And so talk about how you were able to diminish that fear.
I think all of us get fear. I don't think the fear goes away. I've talked to and interviewed for my book. I interviewed generals from the White House and the Pentagon and CEOs from corporations. And I've been very blessed to sit at the table with kings and queens, most recently with Queen Rania from right across from Jerusalem. And I think that the fear is always there. I think what we do with the fear is different. So we can, what I was talking about earlier, some of us allow, and in the past I did too, allow the fear. For example, here's an example of when I allowed the fear to get in front of me. I was pregnant with my child, with Alexandria, who's now 27 years old. And I've been the top performer in banking, and I wanted to get a region. I applied for I chose not to apply because I was pregnant, and I didn't think that they would take me because I was visibly pregnant. Mm. And other people got it that were not as good as I was, as competent, and their performance was not like mine. And then when I saw that they got it, I thought, darn it, I could have gotten that. And I made the decision for my boss. I was the one that held myself back. Why? Because I didn't think that I could. Next time I got pregnant 18 months after the baby was born, and I was visibly pregnant this time again. And I said, I'm not going to let this hold me back. And there was a huge opportunity, the same position in a different geography. And it was 26 branches that I was to manage. And I went and bought a St. John suit and had it blocked. And I was the best looking pregnant woman. And I went and I put together a plan and a business plan for the area. I went very deep with the numbers. I knew all my numbers. I knew all the geography. I knew the people, everything. I made it impossible for them to say no. And then I showed up with my little belly and all of me and showed up. And lo and behold, I got the job. So that's when the doors didn't open. Now, because of fear. Now, fast forward a few years, General Mick Kicklighter, a 3-star general of the U.S. Army who was in charge of the west of the United States to the east of China during the Saddam Hussein days, he was asked to go to the country and put the first embassy, U.S. embassy there. Big story about him. It's in my book. You can read it. But when I interviewed with him, when he gave me at first, he was only going to give me 15 minutes on the phone at 6 a.m. my time. So what I did, and listen up, because those of you who are watching and listening, you can take notes on this because this is big. So when I got on the phone with him, he said, okay, well, such and such told me that you wanted to talk to me. What is it about? I said, before I talk to you about what I'm looking for, may I just give you 60 seconds on who I am? He said, of course. Who has 60 seconds, right? So I gave him 60 seconds. And in 60 seconds, I said, my name is Dr. Betty Uribe, or I wasn't doctor. My name is Betty Uribe. I was born in Bogota, Colombia. I came to the United States at the age of 12. My father was an alcoholic. He beat up my mom. And in an airplane ride, we became poor. And I vowed that I was not only going to retire my mother, but I was going to utilize this to catapult me forward and be able to make a difference for people in the world. And the reason I'm with you, notice that was about 40 seconds, what I just said.
Right.
And then I said, the reason I'm talking to you is because you are a general in the United States Army working out of the Pentagon, and you're one of the best, I hear. And I'd love to talk to you about how you utilize your core values to make a difference throughout your whole organization, and how do you create a sustainable business. And I would like to later come back to you and talk to you about a book that I'm writing, because I want this book in all government offices all over the world, because we get to make a difference together.
Oh my goodness. And so
an hour
15
later,
minutes, turned into an hour.
It turned into an hour. And then
Wow.
He said, Dr. Betty, I want you to come to DC, and I'm going to show you things, and I'm going to share with you things that I've never shared with anyone. And so much so that when I went, and I'm looking for a picture because I just went and visited him this weekend. This is his wife, Betty. And look at that.
A general, 3-star general.
A 3-star general. And
a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah. Now I call him Mick. And we're dear friends. And I got to take others with me. I got to take Mirela Sula to meet with him. And she's the CEO of Global Women's Club. And so now we get to take all of these messages global. So isn't that wonderful how we can just have an opportunity to make an impact? We're given doors that are opening for us. We bring others with us, and then that voice gets propagated. That voice gets amplified, but we've got to just be able to stay to our values, stay true to our values.
I love it. And we're coming up on a break, so it's perfect timing, Dr. Betty. All right, everybody. Yvette Walker here with ABC News and Talks, Southern California Business Report, here today with Dr. Betty, an international internationally acclaimed leader in business, entrepreneurship, and humanitarian efforts around the globe, sharing her insight on the core values necessary to establish a foundation for success when we return.
Cal State San Bernardino is home to the only School of Entrepreneurship in California. With globally ranked degree programs, you can start your journey today to become a successful entrepreneur. Learn more and connect at entre.csusb.edu.
Hi, I'm Dana Rademacher with MGR Property Management.
A lot of people wonder about the value that property management has for their property. Property management can include all property types, including residential, commercial, and HOA. It is valuable because property managers are experienced in what can happen at your property. We're aware of liabilities. We're able to do predictive and preventative maintenance. We know what is coming up with the changes in the weather, the seasons, how old certain aspects or different capital projects at your property are. We're able to best negotiate contract pricing, legalities with your tenants, and anything else that you may need to ensure that you're getting the full value of your property. If you're interested in speaking with the representative at MGR Property Management regarding your property management needs, you can visit our website at mgrrealestate.com, or you can call our number at area code 909-581-6600 to be connected with the representative.
Hi, Ray Lance from the Diamond Center in the Claremont Village here. One of the coolest parts of a third-generation family business is getting to know the families we serve through generations. Once you experience our friendly service, our fair and transparent pricing, and our beautiful jewelry that we make to last a lifetime, you'll stick with us too. Come visit us in the Claremont Village or at Lantz, L-A-N-T-Z, diamondcenter.com and see what makes us different.
Ontario International Airport is onto a better way to fly with over 65 daily non-stop flights to more than 20 major destinations and the easiest airport experience in Southern California. Visit flyonto.com/Ontario to learn more about Ontario International Airport today.
Hi, I'm San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes. If you're looking to start an exciting career in law enforcement and make a difference in your community, we are hiring dispatchers, nurses, deputies, laterals, and many more. For a complete list of our jobs and more information, visit sheriffsjobs.com.
The University of La Verne is rated first in California for alumni satisfaction. Learn more about accelerated programs offered online and on campus in La Verne, Irvine, Ontario, Burbank, or College of the Canyons. Visit go.laverne.edu. The University of La Verne. go.laverne.edu.
Welcome back, everyone. Yvette Walker here today with Southern California Business Report and Dr. Betty, an internationally acclaimed leader in business, entrepreneurship, and humanitarian efforts around the globe, sharing her insight on the core values necessary to establish a foundation for success. Thank you again for being with us today, Dr. Betty.
Thank you so much, Yvette. It's such a joy and honor to be here with you.
Oh my goodness, what a pleasure. Prior to the break, we were getting to learn a little bit about why you are who you are. And I can't imagine a dry eye listening to this. I had to, during the break, clear the makeup out of my eyes because you're just absolutely amazing to be able to transform such deep darkness into the tremendous light you are today. The inspiration and the work and dedication you pour into your efforts is just absolutely inspiring. So thank you for being here. And, prior to the break, you were talking about the importance of education and how important it was for you to receive your doctorate. In addition to that, how you were able to disarm a 3-star general in the U.S. Army, right? Through your human connection, right? So talk a little bit more about how human connection can disarm those around us and build those bridges that you talk about, building every day.
No, it's interesting. Last month I was in Kosovo and I noticed that there was a need and I heard about the 20,000 rape victims, men and women, who were atrociously raped. I'll save you the details, but it was as bad as you can possibly imagine. Men in masks and cameras filming and raping 7-year-olds, 9-year-olds in front of grandparents, asking the fathers to rape their sons and putting them on camera, creating the biggest shame and emotional distraction and distraught in people. And I was able to have conversations with different people. So I got business, community, and nonprofit together, and in a 3 days time in government, and in a 3 days time, all of us agreed we got a building donated, and we're going to be having the grand opening for the opportunity. And I have 2 universities, Pepperdine University in the West Coast voted, the Board of Education and Psychology voted. We're going to be providing some counseling, virtual counseling for them. And then we have another university in the East Coast that is presenting to their board the same thing. And so we've gotten a lot of people, and I have a global working group that's working on this. I'm just leading the effort for now. But to be able to create a miracle like that in 3 days, how do you do that? First of all, you've got to be in the water with the people. When I went and saw the women and they told me their stories, and when I hugged them and just felt into them and showed them that there is somebody from clear across the other side of the world that genuinely cares. And when they said to me, you know, for the last 10 years, people have come and nobody has done anything. And I looked at them in the eye and I said, on my honor, I'm doing something. I can't tell you right now because I had all of the aces in my back pocket. I had already talked to the millionaires who were going to give me resources, and I had already talked to the mayor. I had already gotten everything ready, but I don't like to, words are cheap. I like to speak through actions.
Right.
To get a text message from the director that said, Dr. Betty, I didn't know, but I just went to a meeting and I understand that you were able to get this done. And I said, you know, it's such a blessing and we're doing it together. We're just doing it together. She didn't hear it from my lips. She heard it from the actions that were happening already in her country while I was already here. But so the opportunity to make an impact is as big as your mind can actually fathom. It doesn't take the training, but the education helps. Why? Because when I show up and I'm introduced as Dr. Betty, it's different than if I'm introduced as Betty. Now, the titles, I want to make a really big distinction. I'm not a fond of titles internally in a company, because the titles create walls between people. Then all of a sudden people say, oh, I'm not going to talk to Dr. Betty, because whatever in their mind is about the title, if it's VP, if it's CEO, if it's CFO, whatever title it is. Now, you can use those titles outside to be able to open doors, and that's how I use my titles, is just to open doors outside, but on the inside, I'm just Betty. And I keep it real, and I keep it simple, and I keep it human, because it's that humanity in us. So when I cried with the ladies, and I had a whole group with me, that it wasn't my group, it was the host, Ambassador Ahmed Shala is the one that put this whole thing together. When he saw the humanity, when he saw that I was breaking down with them, he broke down with them, and then the others did too from the universities. And then we were one together. So for the women afterwards, they were kissing me, and they wouldn't stop kissing me and hugging me. And through the translator, we've never felt so much love. We really believe in you. Thank you so much. And they just, oh my gosh, it was like we were one. But you break down all of these titles and all of these things and get naked, not figuratively speaking, naked in front of one another. That's where the humanity makes us real. with Ivanka Trump. When I visited Ivanka at the White House, I was interviewing for becoming the U.S. Treasurer, and she greeted me, Dr. Betty, it's so good to meet you. She had no makeup. She was the girl next door. And she says, come on in. She greets me at the door. She doesn't expect for somebody to walk me in. And then brings me in and introduces me to every one of her assistants, all female. And she says, Dr. Betty, let me introduce you to my team. This is this person, and she went to school here. She's a mother of 3, and she's doing this. And this is the desk of the person that is having a baby right now. Let me tell you about her too. And this is the individual that's replacing her temporarily. Her name is this and this and that. And she brought humanity. She made me comfortable. This is Ivanka Trump. And the girl next door, and it became 2 girls just talking and planning for the country. So what are you going to do? Exactly what I said I was going to do, I just did in Kosovo. I got together the Trifecta, and we created incredible things for the women, and we're creating some things for entrepreneurs across the globe with Mirela Sula in Global Women. So this only happens when you get to be human with people. Whenever I meet someone, so here's my secret. Whenever I meet someone that is of substance, I say, I want to have a private conversation with you. You and I had a conversation when I met you. When I first met you, ladies and gentlemen, hear me out. What I noticed was someone whose values completely aligned with mine. And what I'm talking about is you're a humanitarian. You're doing this because you want to make a difference. You're doing it every day. You're a hustler. You don't just sit back. You hustle. You go out and you bring in and you add value. With every touch, you've added value. And so when I see people like that, I first say, can we just have a deeper conversation? I want to get to know you. And you probably remember me saying that. I want to get to know you. Tell me about you. What's your story? And then I get to know you personally. And then I get you to get to know me personally. Now, everything else is superfluous. Everything else is an add-on, right? It's like the cherry on top.
Right.
But I've now gotten human to human. And then the next thing that you and I need to do is break bread together. And we broke bread together at that night in Los Angeles. And so, I do that with everyone that I meet, whether you're on television, newspaper, magazines, or government, it doesn't matter. Jovita Carranza, she was the U.S. Treasurer and moving into the head of the SBA. When we broke bread together, when we sat in my car together and I took her back to her hotel and we just got to be girls, all of a sudden it was just 2 girls. Even though the age difference could be different, the vastness of the experience could be different, it was just 2 girls talking. The same thing when the general sat in my car, in my loaner car or whatever. I rented the car in DC. And when we sat and held hands and prayed together and asked God, okay, you're taking us on this journey. We're going to make a difference together. We both wept together. We prayed together after breaking bread together. This never would have happened. In visiting his home this weekend with Mirela and offering that opportunity to her to get to know him, never would have happened.
My goodness. And I love that you're able to build that human connection, but please expand on the concept of the trifecta, because that is what allows this to happen.
Well, I've been called a trifecta because I have the education, and in my education, and I'll share this with you. We have a little bit of time. I'll share this with you. I don't seek out to break records, but it just happens because I don't know any better. So I got my doctorate in 3 years. I asked, can I get it done in 3 years? Because I have time. I have only one lifetime and I have an urgency to get a lot done in this lifetime. And so they said, no, it's impossible. You're never going to get it done. I said, well, can I meet with you in person? In person, meet with a person in person, always, and get to know them personally. All of a sudden you become a friend and they're now voting for you to get this done. And I said, well, so I met with a person who did the timeline and who said it's impossible. And I said, what if I back into it? And I don't need a lot of sleep. I can sleep 3 to 4 hours. And so I can wake up at 3 and then I can begin to work here and I can do each chapter in this. And I broke it down to her so that she would see what I would do every day so that I could then walk and graduate in excellence at the end of the 3 years. She said, I said, would you just allow me to try it? Just let me try it. No harm, no foul.
Right.
I can't tell you where I have gotten in the world by just saying that. Let's just try it. What the heck? And then we do it, and then we break the record. So I broke the record, and I did get honors on my dissertation. I'm saying that only so that you can know that you can do a quality job. You don't have to cut corners. So breaking it down into a shorter period of time doesn't excuse the quality. Always expect quality from yourself, and then others around you will bring the same. So that's the kind of thing that I've been able to do. So that's the education piece. And then from an entrepreneurship perspective, I've done medical manufacturing, high-end furniture, custom furniture manufacturing, automotive, real estate, and transportation. When real estate has been with me since I was 19 years old. I bought my first piece of real estate very young, and I've been in real estate all along. And that's kind of a secret to wealth for generations. And I learned that from my VIP clients at the firm, at the bank. Transportation, I actually inherited my father's transportation company in Colombia when my father died.
Wow.
And I was an executive here. And so I managed the company, and I actually left it for a cousin to manage. And I told him, just keep it and, take the income. We don't need the income. I just wanted to kind of keep my daddy alive, if you will. Some of you may not understand that, but some of you may totally get it if you've had a parent pass away and you just want to keep him alive. A year later, I found out through a phone call from one of the semi-truck drivers that he hadn't gotten paid. So I took the first plane out again in person and went there in person and took the keys and then went to everybody and I said, my name is Betty Renjifo. This is my father's last name. It's Italian. And on my father's honor, I will pay you every penny. And I went all over the country. And in 2 years' time on my executive salary, I paid all the debt. So I say that because integrity is a big part of my life. And it should be a big part of the core values because that makes you referable, that makes you trustworthy. So that's the entrepreneur side. So I love business, and I've advised thousands of businesses in my career. And then I've broken the glass ceiling as an executive, as a female, as a double minority woman and Latina female. And it's so wonderful. What a blessing to represent our community. What a blessing to represent women at a global event. And I always feel like it's almost an honor and a duty to give back. So that's the trifecta. So when we have those three, and I studied the same thing in my dissertation. Why? Because it takes those three to revive a country, to revive a city, to revive just a community. And so that's the trifecta in me. So I love that I've been blessed to be able to represent all three: academia, entrepreneurship, and then the corporate side. Because now I feel like I'm living a life of my dreams and I get to do my passion project.
Yes, please talk about your passion project. So on top of being a global woman ambassador, you have started a passion project called Elevate. Please talk a little bit about that. And please, do you have the magazine that you were just a part of?
I do.
Please show us all.
Okay,
and your book too when we get to it.
Okay, so this is the Global Woman magazine. Mirela Sula is the CEO, and I actually 5 years ago, in 2019, I got the Global Woman Award, and she was really surprised because I had 21 countries vote for me back then, and so here we go, 5 years later, 4 years later, and I was just really honored to be on her cover of Global Woman magazine. And if you look at the people that are here, they're so amazing, amazing women from all over, men and women from all over the world. And just to be able to grace the cover has been just really humbling, like really humbling, like, oh my gosh, any one of those people could have been there. But so it's been just a blessing. But my passion project is to elevate women and educate men along the way. So we bought a place, and we take people to this place. And the whole idea is because if you think about at the end of your life, maybe not quite the end, when you're 80 years old, we're living longer, and what you're going to toast to. So this is a glass of water, but you're toasting to something, right? So when you're toasting to your life, what are you going to toast to? And that was an exercise they gave us in my doctor program. And I remember drawing it out, and they make you just feel like you have to write, like, what does it smell like? Is it sunny? Is it watery? Is the ocean? What does it look like? Is it cold? Is it hot? And then who's going to be there, and what are you going to say? And my toast was very simple to the people that I've been blessed to make a difference for along the way, and to the people that God will provide until I die to make an impact for and to elevate. Very simple toast, but where I was going to be was in my home country. And so I take people for 5 days, and we do a deep dive, starting with where do you want to go? And so starting with the end in mind, and then backing into, okay, where are you today, and what's the gap? And so we put together a plan for them to live the life of their dreams. Because my 80th birthday toast, I'm living now, and I'm decades from being 80 years old. And so because I have that trifecta, I can bring all of me to the table and really be able to affect an opportunity for a whole transformation for leaders, for world leaders. I'm having a first lady of a country that's coming to visit. I have a couple that is entrepreneur couple that's coming. I do very specific, very small groups of people. So I really design it specifically for their life journey, which is really, really, really exciting.
That is amazing, Dr. Betty. Now, please talk to us about the top 10 core values you've identified to assist not only you to become who you are today, but those that you serve and assist to get to their goals as well. And I know you've written a book about it. Please share that as well.
Absolutely. So I wrote this book that is my dissertation study called #Values, The Secret to Top Level Performance in Life. And the Vatican endorsed it, and the Pentagon wrote the foreword. And so it's kind of gone haywire because of it. But my chapter 10 has my top 10. So I'll share with you my top 10. So on page 220, number 1, lead with your values. And I think we've talked enough about that. If you're just congruent with your values, if you make your decisions based on your values, your decisions will never be wrong. So number 2 is protect your brand. How do you protect your brand? You live a life that is real, and you continue to live it. No matter what anybody else says about you, you just stay true to yourself. Stay true to who you are. If you allow others to take you away from your core values and who you are, then you're going to go to a different place. Number 3, find your own voice. Don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself. Incorporate what you learn from others, but don't speak like them, look like them. Don't try. Only you can be yourself. Nobody else can be you. And so the nervousness goes away because you're not trying to be anybody else. You're just being you. So show up as yourself. Number 4, seek out champions. The difference between champions and mentors: a mentor will teach you along the way. A champion will stake their reputation on the line for you. Mire Lazula just made an introduction to Success Magazine, Carrie Lee Diamond. And she said, Carrie, this is someone that I love, that I trust, and I want you to meet her. She's taken her reputation on the line for me. That is a champion. Number 5, inspire other leaders to be the best they can be. How do you inspire? you be it. If you are always your best and you push yourself and you tell your mentees that this is what you're doing and don't hide it, then they're gonna follow through. Number 6, leave a legacy. Every single leader that has been an incredible leader that I've ever interviewed, they lead with their higher values. Number 7, don't ever forget where you came from and reach back and bring others with you. The second part is the part that we forget. As Latinos, as women, as minorities, we get there and we say, I got mine. No, you didn't do it alone. So reach back and bring others with you. That's where life becomes a life worth living. And that's where joy comes. Trust your instincts. Oh, what do you think I should wear? What do you think I should say? What do you think? Know yourself and go with whatever it is that you really truly feel and you have a passion. Trust your instincts. Number 9, live a life of gratitude. I have a gratitude journal. An executive coach taught me once, I have so many things to be grateful for. I said, how do I do this? He said, just to the top 3. So that's it. The top 3 every day, write them down or put them in your PDA. And then abundance comes and joy comes. It's been proven. There have been studies. The biggest givers have the biggest joy. Right. Number 10 and last, lead with a higher purpose. Whatever your higher purpose is. I know who my boss is, the man upstairs, and I live according to that. And so whatever you got, your purpose is, your higher purpose, go higher than where you are. And then the minutia doesn't matter anymore. Those are my top 10.
You are absolutely incredible, Dr. Betty. You're so inspiring. I can't wait to get a copy of your book. We're going to have to break bread again and have my signed version of your book. And everybody that's listening today, look for it on Amazon. Can they find it on Amazon, Dr. Betty?
Actually, they can find it in my website, drbettyuribe@gmail.com.
Perfect.
I'm sorry, drbettyuribe.com. That was the email.
Oh, well, you got her email too. So
there
if you
go.
Send her a message. You can send her a message as well. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Betty. Perfect. All right, everybody, don't forget to find us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Check us out at scbrtalk.com. And everybody, if you're a soccer player that is 18 and over, mark your calendar. Now's your chance to make your dream of becoming an Empire Striker come true through 2 rounds of tryouts. Weekend 1, Saturday, August 26th from 2 to 5 p.m. and Sunday, August 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. One lucky person will be selected to play in the USA versus Mexico indoor soccer game on September 10th at Toyota Arena. Weekend 2, Saturday, October 7th from 2 to 5 p.m. and Sunday, October 8th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The tryout venue is the Shui Family YMCA located at 1150 East Foothill Boulevard in Upland, California. Tryout registration cost is $100. Visit theempirestrikers.com for more information. Don't miss my interview with Christian Okoye, founder and president of the California Sports Hall of Fame, a former All-Pro running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Christian's outstanding 1989 season culminated in an array of awards, including Running Back of the Year and First Team All-Pro 2 times. Christian received the Courage Award in Baltimore, which was named after Ed Block. Next week, we will have Wes Fifield, founder and president of Panorama Development, LLC, who has worked on the development of over $200 million in commercial property projects in his nearly 35 years working with tenants such as Target, In-N-Out, Burlington, Starbucks, Chipotle, Carl's Jr., and many more. He's an active member of the community, serving on boards to support the West End Family YMCA, the Shui Family YMCA, San Antonio Regional Hospital Foundation Board and Trustees, and the list goes on because that's what successful business people do. They give back to the community, and we will see you all here next week.